I'm Dren Hatamata. Welcome to S&G Episode 7, show where we talk about random things for shits and giggles. Let me just do a quick check on everything. S&G Episode 7. And show where we talk about random things for shits and giggles. Just do a quick check on S&G Episode 7. And show where we talk about random things for shits and giggles. Show where we talk about random shit. Let's stop that. Why is the music all fun? Oh wait, that's right. Did I? The audio on this is way down. Ooh, that's loud. Why is that so loud? Wait, what else is on here? What is going on with my OBS? Why is it doing that? Test, test. Okay, that's the one. So what? Stop that. Can anything be heard? That's not being heard. Okay, so that's what's being listened to. Sorry for that. Trying to figure this stuff out. Okay, so there we go. Now there's something. Alright, let's turn that just a little bit up. Oh, that's mostly just me talking low. I'm trying to get the music situation figured out. That's mostly just me talking low. I'm trying to get the music situation figured out. Alright. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. I really wish there was a better way to isolate everything so we didn't have the constant back and forth to myself. Alright, so if I have this on. Alright. How's it sound? Alright, that's not too over. It's not too much, not too little. I don't think. Sounds good. Okay, cool. That means I can stop screwing with it. Wait, hold on. What? That's interesting. So so for some reason the text actually showed up on the screen of my of OBS before any chat box. Not in the OBS chat box, just in the. Oh, that was weird. Like it didn't even show up on the YouTube end before that. You know, whatever. I think we can still continue. Just wish there was a way I could turn it down just for myself. But, because I'm hearing it pretty loud on my end, but that has nothing to do with you guys. So, I shall continue. So, I tried to figure out a few things to talk about. So I figured I'd start with some Metroid Dread that I've been playing. So you guys like Metroid Dread, right? I've definitely enjoyed it. It's definitely brought back a lot of that nostalgic feel while bringing up the new technology and everything. Very fast-paced, very strong. It's also surprisingly not frustrating. This has actually surprised me a little bit, as despite how many numerous times I've died, I'm not really getting angry because it's very justifiably my own damn fault, right? How do you guys think about that? I think that's really interesting, the way that it's been working in Metroid Dread, that for one thing, it does have... Dread is a very appropriate name, in my opinion, so far. I haven't beaten the game yet, but I think I've got like maybe another 5th to go, give or take. Okay, that's all good. So far, it's really interesting. God, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the beginning a little bit. I don't want to go into any spoiler territory, but in the beginning, YouTuber is not receiving a video from 18 suit such and such. Why are you buffering? Computer, why? Okay, I can get rid of that, maybe. So everything's okay. Oh, stop scaring me. No data. Oh, you piece of shit. Test. This is giving me all kinds of trouble. Why are you doing this? I have got to upgrade my stuff. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth. Damn it. Is there any way to help that? Let's hope it just doesn't crash. So with Metroid Dread, you start out, of course, by hearing a distress call. In hearing that distress call, you end up following it and then hearing a voice of some robotic thing that says, hey, apparently there's some X-parasites here, and also you're probably not going to want to go down there because it's all kinds of screwed up and you're probably not going to succeed. And you're like, you know what? Challenge accepted. Okay. So you start running down there, and then what really got me was the voice you hear says, no objections, right, lady? And you know, that made me realize that they made Metroid Other M canon. Now, I don't know how many of you guys played that, because a lot of people hate the story. You know what? there's only specific parts that just made the story awful. The rest of it was fine. You know, I guess you know, when you think of Metroid, I really like the idea that playing the game will tell its own story, right? If you haven't played too many Metroid games, it's probably hard to understand what I'm talking about. If I wanted to make the best explanation of telling you the story through almost solely the gameplay, aside from maybe a before and after gameplay, you know, before you start up completely, where it's just you playing, and then the end where it gets everything back together. Super Metroid has a great way of telling you the whole story with what little information is given in the beginning without having to stop you every time. Say, hey, look at me, look at this thing, look what's going on, here's a pile of exposition. I'm a game that has little to no exposition. So when it got to the Prime series, and it was like, oh, there's cutscenes, but they're not incredibly long. You can still learn a lot just by playing the game about what's going on, rather than constant bombardment of people telling you, hey, this is what's happening. No shit, I just saw... Come on, man, just let me figure it out. And with Metroid Dread, I think it has a good mix, because the cutscenes are a lot faster in the sense... Well, I guess it'd be a lot shorter. And they do kind of get right to the point. Like the character Adam, who I think is the technological incarnation of Adam from Other M. Despite the complaints I've heard, it's very short and concise. Like, you kind of already know what you're trying to do, and you could probably figure it out without him telling you what to do, but it's not that big of a deal. It's pretty quick and simple. It's like, okay, by the way, be careful. Just this. That's most of it. And I really love it. And you, immediately when you land, you get attacked, or no, you don't even get attacked yet. You end up getting down there in a wreck, almost dying, and then this fucking Chozo-looking motherfucker, of course you don't know what's going on yet, wrecks your shit, and for some reason leaves you alive way down towards, I guess, the center of the planet, because where else is the logical route gonna take you? And sure. And then most of what you're trying to do is just get back to your ship, while avoiding creatures and this new enemy called Emmy that is trying to harvest your DNA for some reason. Now keep in mind that by this point it's established Samus is not only an orphaned human, but also infused with Chozo blood, part Metroid, and part X-Parasite. I don't know. It sounds like things would conflict, but apparently it harmonizes with her. Maybe it's because of the Chozo blood. Maybe? I can only guess. As far as you know at this point, you're wondering if, oh, was the X-Parasite video a lie? What's going on here? Now you have to go and listen to Adam, give you missions, telling you what to do, telling you to be careful. And you first start going through some of these areas like, oh, sweet, I can do all this fast jumping through hoops, sliding and shit. It's like, Mega Man, eat your heart out. And then you get to the point where you meet the first Emmy, and it is terrifying. Because you have nothing that can fight it. It is nigh indestructible. And if it catches you, you get a quick action scene where you have to try and hit it. You get 2 chances. 1, when it tries to grab you, and then 2, when it tries to stab you in the chest and suck out your DNA. Nice. yeah, it's terrifying. It gives you this dark, dingy, monochrome area. It's like all gray, pretty much. And not to mention, these things just go everywhere, and they are fast. Well, relatively fast. They know how to get to you in the most efficient way. You can still pretty much outrun them, but of course there's always obstacles and shit that are in the way, and you have to try and make your way past everything despite all that. And my god, is it quite a trial. But I think it's an incredible benefit. I think they've done super awesome with Metroid Dread. Except the part where they killed my sciencey boy! If you haven't played, you go find out. Just get the game, play it, take it from someone else, and you'll find out. Bastards. I mean, what's your thoughts on Metroid Dread? I'm assuming anyone who sees this probably has beaten it already. And so far from where I'm at, it's pretty standard. I do like the menu a lot. That you have your main menu, you have your map menu, and then you have your equipment menu. And then there's another menu for, quitting or whatever, but that's not really important. And that almost directly mirrors Super Metroid in that sense. I would actually really like to see Super Metroid redone the same way Dread is. And I think it would work really well. You could up the difficulty on stuff. Fighting Kraid would be amazing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Completely unrestrained and everything. You'd be able to develop all the environments and everything without having to change too much of the actual map scheme. And it'd be also a bit cleaner in controls, because now you have an actual directional stick rather than the kind of stoic D-pad that you had with the Super Nintendo. Because back in the Super Nintendo, one of the problems people had was, despite it not helping, people would, including myself, in order to try and do certain things, would press buttons really fucking hard. But no matter how hard you press, it's not going to get any tougher or any stronger. It's them's just the ropes there, Jack. And it can be such a pain, because there's the Shine Spark ability or whatever that makes you run really fast, and then you can press down, and then you can like jump and go up, forward, or behind you, whatever, in whatever direction. You can also go diagonal, but on Super Nintendo's Super Metroid, or Metroid 4, no, it's Metroid 3. Yeah, it's Metroid 3. In Super Metroid 3, it is really hard to go diagonal, at least in my experience. And of course, there's areas where it's like, oh, I need to go specifically diagonal. It's a little harder. So forgive me. If I had to put like a good solid number rating on it, I would probably give it at least I don't know, 8.9, if not about 9.4. And part of that is, so a lot of people were getting stumped on difficulty, I think. It is not nearly as difficult as you might think with the way people have talked about it. I really think people are overhyping the difficulty, because everything in the game is very patternistic, if you will. Everything can be predicted. And although I think that is a strength, it's like that for pretty much everything there. You could put numbers to everything and figure out, okay, that's how it's gonna happen. Everything has a definitive shit, what do we call it? Fucking words. Has a definitive signal to what they're about to do. It's like trying to figure out his next move. He puts his hand up. Oh no, he's about to shoot the thing. Because that's the only time he holds his hand up is when he's about to shoot the thing. And then he shoots the thing, and if you get hit by it, it's your fault. I don't think that people saying that it's difficult should complain too terribly much, because if it's patternistic, you can figure it out, and then it's just a matter of actually taking that skill to place. And then apparently they updated it where they had an easier mode, and I'm not having that hard of a time. Maybe I'm not as bad at games as I thought. I don't know. I don't know. I've heard some people complain about difficulty, and I'm like, I don't see it. Because, for one thing, it is incredibly forgiving. If you get to, like, a boss room, or you get into, like, a dangerous enemy area, you run around those places, and you get caught and die, you're basically, like, 2 rooms outside the door. You're basically right there before it. And I'm like, no other game does that nearly like this. Because that means it only takes you like 5 seconds to get back to the boss room. Like, the closest to that is retry things, where you just immediately go into the boss. When I was playing Metroid Prime, every time I died, I had to be back at the last save spot, which means I had to track through sometimes 4 or 5 rooms full of enemies before I got there. Oh, don't get me wrong, it's fun and all, but it can be kind of tough when you're trying to conserve all your resources and conserve your what's the words? When you're trying to conserve your health, there we go, health, that's the words. And it's a lot more forgiving, and I can't fault the game for being tough as hell on the patterns and speed, and relying on your skill to be able to see everything and dodge. Because there's a thing when you die or there's a loading screen, it's absolutely right in when it says there's no attack that can't be dodged. You can dodge every attack. It doesn't give you much time, but you can dodge them. You just gotta be quick. I do highly recommend Metroid Dread. It does have that very Metroid feel. And I'm not trying to go into too many spoilers, of course, but you can, if you played Metroid Prime and you've played Super Metroid, you can get a feel on both. Like, the cutscenes are very Metroid Prime-esque, and the gameplay is very Super Metroid-esque. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Is it the best? To me, no. It's not the best. I think the gameplay is absolutely astounding. I'm really glad they went back to this style of gameplay. And as much as I love Metroid Prime, this 2D platforming is definitely a strong suit for the people making Metroid games. Metroid Prime felt kind of clunky. Or at least at first. It's another one of those things where once you get used to it, you're pretty much fine. So, you know, you go around and it's like, okay, here's the thing. Oh, oh, I'm sorry, there's an enemy next to you because you don't know how big your hitbox is, or something like that. You know, just things like that. It's not too bad, but it can be annoying. You get used to it, and then you're like, okay, now I understand. How did that hit me? Type things. Alright, do you think I'm done gushing over Metroid Dread? Good game, go play it. What, you already beat it? Play it again. I'm not asking. Alright. So I thought I'd go ahead and let you know what's going on in regards to my videos and editing. So I'm on and off editing, and right now I'm in the middle of one of the bigger videos. And if you saw, was it not last week, the week before, I did an editing stream for the video collaborating. And I'm still working on that. I've got the bulk of it done. And that might be the first one to drop, but I've got a handful of videos that I want to put up before I get anything else. There is, let's see. Oh, where's my? There we go. There we go. That out. All right, so yeah, I have a few more gaming videos that I need to edit. I have a collaborating video to edit, and then I've got a bunch of creepypasta I can edit. Oh, a bunch of creepypasta. I forgot I recorded so many, goddamn. So, you know what, let me throw some stuff on the screen. Cat, why? No. What? Settings. No. Like, why won't you let me choose the window I want to get? Desktop, probably window. No, yeah, this one. That's not what I want. Wait, what? What? Okay, there we go, Explore. That's what I want, yes. Okay. Now let me put that further up. Okay. Can you guys see that? Well, it actually looks better on the tiny version of the... I don't know. Let me just go ahead and kind of make it kind of nice and maxed out. Maybe you can see it better. But right now, so here's a lot of things that I've done, that I have recorded already. So all this stuff is recorded, and I've been working on this. Wherever you see audio, the audio output next to the just audio, these are likely ones I've already done. I've done all the Chrono Trigger and everything. I've basically just got Super Mario, I guess. Or what was it? Where's my... Yes, just Super Metroid. Okay. Yeah, that's basically all I have. Is Super Metroid videos next. As far as the gaming. But then I have all of these creepypasta that I gotta do. I'm trying to remember how long. I think some of these were actually short. I think a bunch of these were short. I'm not sure if I want to do them as individual. Some of them I think were so short I didn't want to necessarily do them as individuals unless they were shorts. So I'll look in. I have to go back and look into that because I do not remember. Like 12/12, 13th month. And I think all these I actually recorded on stream a while back. So you're probably not missing any. Did I? I don't remember everything I did. Damn. Alright. So let's go back to I need to change the theme. I need to make this all nice and dark. Because this is really bright and annoying. And bad for my eyes. I'm pretty sure I can change the theme. Alright, so yeah, this is a creepypasta that I've already been done. And I'm considering that maybe I should have a better system in place for the way I throw everything in. So, so I have my recording, uploading queue, but I might try and just do that here. Maybe I'll just copy, once I'm done with all these videos, I'll just clear it and copy what's left here. And maybe it'll be a little easier to deal with. I'm not sure, I'll have to figure it out. I think I need to reorganize everything, but Breath of Fire, I've got all this. I think I still need to get thumbnails for a lot of these, which won't take long. That's pretty easy to do. Shit, I didn't do any questionnaires. Fuck. That's whatever. I need to do another video for the year-to-year comparison, the last year's analytics. I guess I can technically do that anytime. It's not like they're gonna go away, but I wish I could have gotten it done in January, but I've been working on stuff. If you're not aware, the editing software that I use is CyberLink PowerDirector Ultimate 18, I believe. And I love it. I do recommend it. If you can afford it, it's about $113, one-time payment, you get to keep it. If not, I recommend Wondershare Femora for about 50 or 60 bucks, I think. I'm not sure. When I bought it, it was 50 bucks, but that was also years ago. Yeah. Let's see. I think we're pretty much done with that. Why are these on the outside? What? I'll figure it out later. Alright. So, I actually got my tax return. Finally. And it equated to a couple hundred under $5,000. You may resume your spit take. Now, I came from nice minimum wage jobs, so when I saw those numbers, I was like, oh my god, am I screwing something up, and am I going to go to jail? No, apparently that was correct, because they gave me the money. And I'm like, oh my god, I can afford shit now. So, getting shit paid off, getting shit that we need paid for, so we can, like, fix shit. And still gonna try and save what money I can, so I'm probably gonna throw more of it into, savings. But right now, we're getting a bunch of stuffs coming in and getting other things taken care of, like making sure all our pets are going to be healthy and everything. It's surprising. There's so many people are like, hey, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. Well, it buys financial security. Fuck you. You have no idea how great it is to not have to worry about paying for shit. Money's not everything, but it's nice to afford things you need and not have to worry about, like, oh shit, is this gonna break down? I feel like I really need to keep myself humbled. But yeah, like $47, $48, $100 between federal and state. It's a lot of money. So like I'm buying a new shower because ours are fucked. Bought a bookshelf to replace the thing, and otherwise, it'd probably be another few months before I do this shit. At least. And then I'd be adding on more debt in order to do it. It's really nice when you don't have to worry about debt, because even though, as long as you're paying for it, it's good on your record, on your credit score, it really sucks just to have debt, because it's always ever looming over you. And sometimes it's not a bad thing, but sometimes it's just like, this is something that I had to pay for out of desperation, this using credit. But now we're actually able to start getting past that. So hopefully I'll be a lot more relieved here in the near future. Maybe better by the time I get back next week's stream. Trying to be proactive, so I'm probably going to put off some of the editing and try and crack down on editing after work, but I'll probably put off some editing in order to get other stuff done or search for things that I need to buy. For example, I need to get another fucking bulb for our refrigerator, or our freezer. It's the same bulb, because I ordered the wrong one last time. I'm so happy I got my temperature. I'm so happy that it was actually that much, because that makes just a wonderful safety net. And I'm also going to consider getting my computer looked at and upgraded. First thing I need to do is clean it out. Since we got the storage gone, I can clean it out and make sure that that's not a problem. I'm sure it's part of it, but I'll be able to take it somewhere and be like, hey, if I get a better graphics card, will it perform better? Because even playing Minecraft, it's kind of slow. Hopefully they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we got you. Suck money. Or I might just try and take care of what I can for myself, because I'm pretty sure the biggest problem I have right now is my graphics card. You may or may not hear me bitch non-stop about that. Because I basically just got one, or someone got me one, to make sure my computer would just work at a basic level. But I played Terraria on stream, and it was slow. It felt like it was slow-mo and everything. And then I turn off, and that was when I was trying to stream it. Then I turn off Streamlabs OBS, and all of a sudden everything's nice and quick and works right. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks for that. Because I got plenty of RAM. I got 16 gig RAM. I got a decent motherboard. I got a decent processor. For what I'm trying to do, all that is fine. So lo and behold, when I'm trying to do all this, do some of this stuff, like I really want to be able to hook up a console and then record those games, whether I have to use an Elgato or what, so that way I can not have to worry about, you know, my computer dying. God forbid I stream consoles because that would be a ton of power. That would drain all my things. It would drain all my computer assets, resources, whatever. I'm not trying to kill my computer. Luckily, I can, if I need to, I can actually replace most of the stuff in here. And if it really comes down to it, and as much as I really don't want to, I can probably eventually replace this entire computer, not including the hard drives that I can get swapped over. Because really, the hard drives that I have are the most important things. That's where all my importance is. Steam, it's online, I can re-download shit, at least. I probably need to do some basic maintenance on my computer and figure that stuff out, but if nothing else, I can probably at least get it looked at, and I'll have my tax return to thank for that. But first, we're following priorities, like need to get a shower, and we still have a couple electrical problems. Luckily, they're not as big of a problem. So, there's that. We might even be able to start actually painting some of the house and getting some of the floors fixed. Maybe even getting a deep freezer so we can store more frozen foods that we like. Ooh, you know what? I need to get a new microwave. This is what adulting does to you. It makes you enjoy the idea of getting new appliances. Getting a pair of freaking socks because all the ones are worn out and your feet hurt. This is adulting. I don't want an adult, I want a kid. I mean, I want to be... You know what I mean. I want to play video games and make videos and shit. That's boring, you know. Ooh, is this eggshell white? Or is this the nice, bright, I don't know, paper bleach white? You know, it's gonna make our house look tacky as shit, too, while we're at it, so... I don't know. Could paint our house just solid green. Oh, man. But I think it's enough about that. So, there's a convention coming up in Huntsville at the Von Braun on the... Let me check. On the 30th, I believe? The 30th. Next month in April, that my friends, my wife, and I plan to attend. My wife and I are the plus ones of our artist friends, Jorgogo and Cookies. Or there will be cookies, and hopefully it'll be pretty smooth. But if any of you are there, and you actually know who any of us are, feel free to stop by. We'll likely be at vendors' booths, at least one of us at a time. It's a one-day convention. I forget what it's called, but with the information, April 30th, Von Braun Center in Huntsville, that should be enough information that you can look it up. I'm kind of being lazy, so shut up. I'm joking. But I believe it's like a little video game expo. They've had these one-day cons, and hopefully we'll be able to be there just fine with no problems. Everything will be good for a solid day. And if you guys are able to make it, by all means, we'll love to see you. If you like Jorgogo or There Will Be Cookies art, by all means, feel free to stop by, purchase some prints, ask questions, all that. And actually, let me go ahead and throw down some Twitter handles for that. Click. So here, no. So here is There we go. There is Jorgogo Arts. There's Jorgogo's Twitter. If you're familiar with him, his art style, you'll definitely enjoy that. I need to get the other one. Wait, it's... Dang, what was it? There it is, okay. Yeah, okay. This is right. Yes, I recognize that. Had to make sure. I don't want to screw things up and then, get things wrong. Come on. And there we go. Alright. And then there will be Cookie's Twitter if you want to check out her art and see how you fancy it. And if you like the idea of going down and possibly buying some prints, by all means. We would love to see you. So definitely some promotion. Check the chat. And if someone can remind me, I probably should throw those in the comments after this. Alright, moving on. So, our roommate, my wife, and I, we've been playing D&D Curse of Strahd. And I need to be careful because I don't want to spoil anything, even though actually does have replayability, and it likely won't go the same way in almost any game, but eventually I do plan to make maybe a solid videos game. I'm actually recording every session, audio-wise, so that should be fun when we actually beat it and I can try to make videos of it. So, hopefully look forward to that. What we've been doing in Curse of Strahd has been very interesting. So, I'm the DM, and... Oh, please don't die. Please be okay, computer. It's giving me more messages about not getting a smooth enough stream or not receiving enough video. I don't know what you're on about, man. It's right there. One of the things that's been interesting is I'm the DM, and my wife is a wizard who didn't really know any spells and didn't really know anything and was a little rich, kind of like one of those little rich bitch type characters, kind of an asshole or a douchebag, and parents died, and because they were kind of shitty parents, when they died, he just kind of lived off the inheritance for a while until that ran out. Sort of like that SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob comes into a lot of money and everyone's like trying to be friends with him, but then they abandon him when he finally runs out of money. It's kind of like that. And then he eventually, when that runs out, he's living on the streets. He knows just enough in regards to magic, basically to get by and steal things that he wants to have, like being able to put people to sleep for long enough for him to steal what he needs. Cool. So what he has done up to this point that I'm going to tell you about is he has stolen a donkey named Maurice, and Maurice is a good boy, Maurice is best boy. There's no debate. That's just what it is. Maurice also has plot armor. I deem it so as the DM. And he is basically just traveling from town to town, and once he gets a bad enough rep, he basically goes to the next town and just tries to survive. While the other character, Violet, is also not from a very good place, but she was in a kind of a rich place. She was a bit of an outcast because of a situation I don't quite remember yet, offhand anyway. So that situation got her to a point where she resented her parents for the most part, and eventually left and snuck out, and now she's basically trying to stay away from her family as much as possible. And she's very oblivious. She doesn't really have life skills. There's so many things that she just doesn't really understand, and things just kind of go over her head, like various social faux pas and whatnot. Things like death and whatnot don't really faze her because of things that's happened in her past. She is a generally happy type character, and now you're thrusting these characters in the world of Curse of Strahd in Barovia. This is really interesting in my head, because I'm seeing these characters who, despite being incredibly different, are very much the same. Violet, by the way, is a sorcerer. So you have a sorcerer and a wizard, and they are very squishy characters. Yay! So I, as DM, am like, fuck! Because I don't want them to die. So I did a little fixing so that way they were less likely to die at points where they don't need to die yet. Now, if you've played through Curse of Strahd, or read through the entirety of the book, and maybe some Reddit sources, or seen some people that have played through it, you know things are not going to work that well in the sense of staying alive. It is terrifying, it is very dark, there is some dark humor and comedy, depending on how you want to play the game, but it is definitely not for the faint of heart. There's really dark and fucked up shit, and I love it. I have been very much enjoying Curse of Strahd. I've enjoyed DMing it a lot. I would love to be in the position of being a player. Now, no two games will be the same, and not just because they can make their own choices, but because there is basically a randomizer for Curse of Strahd. Quote unquote. Randomizer is a bit of a loose term. I'm not going to talk too much about that, because my players have no idea what exactly is going on in that regard. I've told them a little bit about it. I've told them it does have replayability, where the next game probably will not be the same. And not just because I changed stuff. There was some stuff in the campaign that I just didn't like, so I fixed it in a way that I did like. Some of it comes from other sources, some of it I made up myself. Not the easiest thing to do. But we're at the point where they have 2 NPC characters that are helping them. This is still relatively fresh in the game. There's probably going to be about 24 sessions, I think, in all. Of course, it's hard to be consistent when I have a work schedule, and we have events that happen all the time on the weekends. So we're just going to have to fit it in whenever we can. Maybe we'll start doing it on like Saturday mornings or something when we don't have anything to do those mornings, but we have something to do at night. Or, before dinner or something. Well, I don't know. We'll figure something out. Probably won't be as much until we start getting more things fixed up. But it's really interesting because the characters have stayed alive and they've actually taken minimal damage for for the most part, and I'm really surprised. There's a part where they had a ton of enemies all around, and they had to be clever enough to get away because they weren't going to live. And it wasn't a point that I was ready for them to die. Now, I don't know about you, but I really hate the idea that I'm like, oh shit, I'm not ready for them to die yet, is a phrase that comes out of my mouth as a DM. And keep in mind, I'm still fresh as a DM. I'm still learning a lot. I've done a handful of one-shots. I've ran all of Lost Mines of Phandelver, which I'm pretty proud that we actually finished that. We also have some other campaigns, some homebrew campaigns that I've been working on in regard to our characters. So that's also a thing, and that's been hectic. But when it comes to Curse of Strahd, I read through the whole friggin' book. And with these characters, and I only have 2 players, these characters somehow survived all this, and I'm very surprised, I'm very shocked. And most of it's been due to being clever, and also I'm doing a lot more roleplay bits. The character development of my players has gotten very interesting, and because we are people who are more roleplay heavy, for one thing, we're doing modular or milestone level up, just because it's a lot more sensible than trying to keep up. You don't want to play D&D and have to grind, because you can get to points like that if you're doing earned XP. And I'm not trying to make my players do that, so I'm doing milestones. Right now we are actually level 5. I think. No, we're level 4. We're level 4. We're finally not so squishy. So I told them to go ahead and max out their health because they are otherwise squishy characters. And I'm really hoping things are going to go in the direction that I want them to. Because I want to set up some things. They don't know which way I want to go, and they don't need to because it's their game and I'm helping them run through it. Or I'm setting up all the things they're running through, basically. And the book kind of also guides you on how to run the background of things. Things are happening when you're focusing on your characters. There are things happening besides what your characters are doing. And I think if you're going to DM a game, I think that's a really good way of making things interesting in your world, is knowing that background things will happen. And that there might be some snowball effects. Do not underestimate it. So Barovia has so many different things to do. And weirdly enough, they've actually been going pretty linear in the sense that they haven't just gotten one thing after another constantly. Like, they haven't gotten to a point where they have too much on their plate in regards to amount of things to do and time. And I really appreciate that. Everything thus far has been manageable. I was thinking, what would happen if they started venturing before they, started completing things. They start getting to the point where, like, because basically it would put you in a position where you go, we have 2 missions here, and we can only do one of those. I'm interested in seeing what'll happen. We might be at one of those points, but I don't know. I have to look through it again. But I'm really liking where we're at. We are currently in the town of Vallaki, for what it's worth. We did go through the initial beginning in the town of Barovia, and we eventually traveled to Vallaki. We have already walked by the windmill, and we have already gone to the winery. And I think that's vague enough that it doesn't take away from what's going on from anyone who wants to play. And yes, it's absolutely wonderful. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do, and I wish I could talk a little bit more in depth, but I don't want to hear, not when they can still be seen. But I would love to answer people's questions privately, preferably privately, but I guess I could probably answer certain ones on here if I wanted to. But definitely, if you haven't heard of Curse of Strahd, or haven't played it, or haven't gotten into DMing, or into Dungeons & Dragons, I recommend checking out a little bit about it. Puffin Forest has a good rendition, or a good retelling of when his group played. And plenty of people played it and recorded it. Keep in mind, these are hour-long games, several hours-long games that they paraphrase in a lot of these, or you're actually watching them as they play. So if you decide to watch those, keep in mind, it's a long haul. Man, is it a long haul. So, I think I've stayed vague enough about that. I don't really have anything else about D&D that I know right now that I want to talk about. Because still being relatively fresh in regards to amount of time played, there's still a lot I gotta learn and a lot I gotta realize. But I think we can move on. You know what? Let me get some more to drink, and I'll be right back. I won't go to intermission yet, but I'll be back, and we'll talk about nostalgia glasses, if you will. So I will be right back. Stay tight. Alright. I am back. I got something to drink. Nostalgia glasses. What do I mean when I say nostalgia glasses? Well, we know what nostalgia is. The feeling that you get when you get to see those old games and whatnot. Things from the past that fill you with joy. And what do I mean with nostalgia glasses? Well, let's consider how I was talking about Metroid Dread. Just for a second. What was I bringing up to make comparisons? Super Metroid. Metroid Prime. This, I think, is a fault of me using my quote-unquote nostalgia glasses. A figment expression of nostalgia. In order to explain how I see things. And I think I've gotten more and more to where I'm able to take those off. Kind of. Because I do have the problem sometimes where I keep looking at something like, it's still not as good as the old thing. When later down the line I likely will change my mind because now I'm taking those off. It's, for example, a big example is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. people see it as a masterpiece. And how does it stand up today? To me, after years and years and getting where we are today in regards to those Zelda games and technology and games that we have in general, we do not have that bad. We don't have that bad of a nostalgia boner for it anymore. The reason is because it didn't age. It aged pretty well overall, but it didn't age that well. Because now what we can do is we can look back on it and really engage in some understanding on how it works, how it is, and what it's like. So as much as people like to say that Ocarina of Time is this masterpiece, we should be able to recognize that it does have plenty of flaws, and that those flaws should be appreciated, because with those flaws being pointed out, the games that come out in the future will likely be better and alleviated of such flaws, or those flaws are utilized to an advantage. I feel like Breath of the Wild has this almost down to a T. Is it perfect? No, of course not. And no game will, and I don't think any game should be considerably perfect. Because that can ruin all the other games. Ooh, is that a cut? Oops. I think I cut myself at some point. One of the... For the longest time, Ocarina of Time was my favorite game. Just definitively. If you asked, like used to, if you asked me, like, oh, what's your favorite video game of all time? I'd be like, oh, okay, Ocarina of Time, man, no questions asked. I don't think that anymore. That's because I've gotten used to actually taking my nostalgic glasses off. And I think in large part that has to do with Eagle Raptor's Sequelitis series. It's interesting, these things that you don't see until someone else starts pointing them out. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, sure. Fun. Well, when you can go back and actually start analyzing things for real without, okay, don't analyze it as a Zelda game, just analyze it as a game. Then you can really kind of pick it apart appropriately, and then things kind of come together a little bit better. Definitely something I can appreciate. So what else? What else is a good example besides Metroid and Zelda? Star Fox, I think. So Star Fox 64 and the original Star Fox. Now the original Star Fox, people probably wouldn't see that. They would see that as innovative. They probably wouldn't see it as that good, aside from the gameplay, because they did not have the memory to really put what they wanted. So everything is not only very polygonal, but also very low res and very very solid color, like, you know, everything is like a solid color or a face of something is a solid color, whatever color it is. Even if it goes to different colors, there's no variable gradient or anything on the texture. So it's not as well defined. But when you get to, say, Star Fox 64, a lot of people are like, it was one of the most amazing Star Fox scheme you ever did have there, guy. You can say that, I guess, but I didn't see some of the levels I didn't like that much, and at a time where they could not vocals, that's all I'm thinking. A time where they could have had something a little more extravagant. It seems like they could have done a bit more, in my opinion. One of the problems I found was that the landscape felt very small in comparison to the world you're in, which I think they actually did a great job on Star Fox Assault when they, whenever they went in and created that landscape. I think scaling is a lot better. But you get that where you have the old games that lay the framework or whatever, but I don't like the idea of going into games anymore and just assuming that, oh, nothing can beat it. You know what I mean? I don't want that to be something that's problematic in mind. Something else that's considered a masterpiece. Something else to the original Sonic games. Feel free, if you must, to crucify me, but I don't think the old Sonic games are as much of a masterpiece as people say. Are they better than many of the 3D games? No question. Yeah, they are. And part of it might be that I'm not that good with it, but because I didn't play that many Sonic games, I don't have the nostalgia glasses for it, and to me, it's very... I don't know, it's made very well, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything in the game. The game is running me rather than me running the game, if you will. So, I apologize, but it's alright in the way I see it, but it is kind of flawed. I do like the idea of, it's meant to be a fast game, sure, but I don't feel like I'm in control. I think, at least for like the Sega Genesis games and stuff like that, I think they are a lot better in regards. The old Super Nintendo and Genesis games, I think, do a lot better at perfecting the art, if you will. Perfecting the art, they're a lot better on polish. They know what they want, they know what they are. But when you get into the 3D games, where the games take more space, they take more time to develop and all that, what I have seen is that you don't have the same amount of time because you have to spend more time developing the game, so you don't get to actually perfect everything and learn all the techniques. Like, the 3D Sonic games, I think, are a good example. And also, I think where I can apply when I had nostalgia glasses. I hadn't played too many Sonic games up to that point, and then I got Sonic Heroes. So for me, Sonic Heroes, I thought was great. I thought it was like a quote-unquote perfect Sonic game. Yeah, if you thought you were going to chastise me before about the older Sonic games, yeah, you're probably going to crucify me now. Here's the thing. Those games... I know in post that those games did not... I mean, they were good games, but their performance was just not that good in the sense that they were often broken. And apparently, because I was a GameCube guy, I had it a lot better than a lot of other people. So Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Heroes, I didn't have nearly the problem some other people had, apparently. They said they're the best ports. Despite that, they are still have a bunch of broken mechanics, but when I was young, I was like, I don't know, 13, 10 or something, I don't know. I was like, oh, this is amazing, this is one of the best games ever, it's awesome, without a doubt. So, yeah, forgive me if it seems like I probably don't know what I'm talking about in regards to Sonic games, but that's how I've seen them, and that's where my nostalgia glasses go. Not to the older games, but to the newer games. My god, when I got to Sonic 06, that someone else, I think, did they give it to me or let me borrow it? I don't remember. They probably don't want it back. Incredibly broken mechanics. And when you have that compared to, and then you can compare it to the older games, which the mechanics were a lot more perfected, and made more sense, gravity felt good. Then you get to the other 3D games, and you're like, well, it's not as broken, but it's no masterpiece. And probably where I first felt that was Sonic and the Secret Rings, where all of a sudden, ooh, the control scheme was horrible. So, not what I should be looking for. One of the things that I think I'm looking forward to in regards to nostalgia glasses is Chrono Trigger. So Chrono Trigger is another one of those games that's considered an absolute masterpiece, and I don't want to take it for granted. So I'm also going to have to look back and actually see the flaws it has. Now, like Ocarina of Time, this is another one of those games where it's like, dare you not speak of ill will towards that which I have loved so dearly. That is seriously how people have treated it. And I agree, I don't want to talk bad about it, but I gotta be honest about what's up with the game. One, I don't want to bullshit my audience, and two, I don't want to bullshit myself. Games have flaws. You have to acknowledge them and appreciate them for what they are. That's how you get better games in the future. That's how you preserve older games that are great. Keep in mind, I grew up on a lot of JRPGs, so... So this is par for the course to me. JRPGs, Legend of Zelda, things like that. That's been my thing. Metroid, platformer. Despite not caring about platformers that much, Metroid's been great for me. Love Star Fox, of course, and I got various other games. I got 500 games right now, and that's not even all of them recorded yet. I can't wait till I actually finish it, because I go through all my Steam games and all my other things. Don't worry about it. And I probably need to go through all my stuff to make sure I've got everything accounted for. There is... There's so many games. I think nostalgic glasses can often be a problem. It's one thing when you have that feeling that makes... or you get that good feeling about these old games. But I don't think it's healthy to do it to the point where, God forbid, anyone speaks any ill will against it, and you want to snap their neck. Let's not do that. Let's not be that. Right? I don't want people to feel vitriol against me for like, oh yeah, man, but didn't that part suck? And he goes, how dare you? It is perfect. No, it's not. Stop it. You're scary. You're scaring me. And like I said, even though, like, in the Legend of Zelda sequelitis from Eagle Raptor, even though he pointed out those flaws, I still didn't see those flaws, but I recognized them. And I thought that was important. I was like, that didn't bother me, but yeah, I think it's fine. I think that's valid. Another thing that was brought up to me was, okay, let's talk about water levels. People have notoriously hated water levels. But honestly, water levels, realistically, aren't that bad. Now, you can still not like going through water levels. That's fine. That's valid. But the water levels themselves, it's not that they're bad levels or bad level design. Aside from maybe some camera problems. Or problems where you can't see anything and it's not really supposed to be quite like that, which is another addition to potential flaws. But like, water levels are actually really pretty well designed. looking back, I don't think I had that much of a problem. It's just when you add another axis of movement, it changes dynamics. When you add another mechanism that's literally fluid rather than solid or concrete, this changes the way the game plays by a large margin. And because of that, you end up with basically it's a big change in what you're doing and how you're playing. All these dynamics change, and now you have to adapt. A lot of people don't like adapting because they got used to playing a certain way. So when they do this, they throw you into a loop, and they even kind of tease this, I think. Because in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, for example, you have the Water Temple, and the Young Link equivalent is Lord Jabu Jabu's belly. Or Juba Juba, whatever. Lord Jabu Jabu's belly is not the same as the Water Temple. It has some water, it's in a water area, but it is not a water temple. It is a temple submerged, but you don't really have to worry about the water. It is toenail height, maybe, at its highest, besides when you're actually swimming. So, when it changes so drastically from this regular land thing to all of a sudden you're in water at least 40% of the time, now everything is different. You are now on someone else's playing field. Definitely something that really jars the player, and now you have to change the way you play the game in order to get past these parts, including being a little bit more careful around corners, looking up. Of course, doesn't mean you're always going to be fine. You know, there's still some times where it's like, oh, well, everything's solid around me, you're looking up, and then something just falls in a hole and you have nowhere to go. Oh, God, thanks, asshole. You know what I mean. I'm sure we've all played games like that. Mega Man. I think Mega Man games on lore overall are made incredibly well and incredibly consistent. I have good memories, especially of Mega Man X, despite never having beaten it myself, or barely beaten most any at that. I was terrible at Mega Man, I'm sorry. Luckily, I have a friend who's playing them for me. So, yeah. What's interesting is I think I could break down some of the flaws of Mega Man X. Mega Man 7 is also kind of interesting in that same sense because it also has its interstate. It's actually similar in a lot of it, but I don't think it's given as much credit because, of course, you know, it's 7, it's not 10, or X. I think X doesn't mean 10 in this case, does it? I think it went from 7 to X, and then that was not meant to be Mega Man 10. It was meant to be just Mega Man X. It's... how do I put this? You can see how different it is in art. You can tell where the work was put. Now, I still think that, in large, Mega Man X was at a point where the art was perfected so they could spend more time making sure the game was actually good. So for what flaws it does have, that I need to learn a little bit more about, what flaws it does have, which I would have to carefully analyze, I'd have to pay a lot more attention. It wouldn't be nitpicking, but it would be something that I'd be looking very carefully. I'd have to look at designs and stuff. And again, you have another water level that people fucking hate. But when you really get down to it, it's really neat. Something that kind of bothers me about it is it seems like the game should give you a little bit more in certain areas. Of course, like I said, I'm terrible at Mega Man games, so most of this is probably my own fault, if you will. And I do think that Mega Man games at large are pretty forgiving. And to an extent, I think it might be a little too forgiving in some cases. The idea that you can save your progress, I think, is more important rather than forgiving the player and then just ultimately being completely unforgiven after enough deaths. God, you get into the later Mega Man X games, my God, does it get ridiculous. But if you're looking through them with your nostalgia glasses, you might overlook those flaws. And I've been learning to try and take mine off. And part of the reason why I'm trying to learn to take mine off is because I have a problem trying to actually venture into other games and other game genres. Because I pretty much just stick with what I already know. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I don't think it's very good for me to keep my nostalgia glasses on, because, like, you see me playing Minecraft all the time, I'm sure, especially if you're in Discord when I'm on. You'll be like, oh, hey, see, he's playing some fucking Minecraft again. And I'm like, well, it relaxes me. I don't have an addiction, you have an addiction. Sometimes I get cravings where I'm like, God, I really want to play Zelda, or God, I really want to play the old Metroid game. And despite that, I try not to. I tend to lean now towards like infinite games in regards to gameplay never has to end, even if there isn't a technical ending. Just because, like, I don't have to worry about completing anything, right? Necessarily. That's why I like Minecraft. And I'm sure I don't know if I have nostalgia goggles for Minecraft. I don't know. I mean, its flaws are basically in your face, saying fuck you anyway, so it's like, oh no, that's just par for the course anyway. Here's something that gets me. We have... What do we have? We have so much going on in regards to games, older games. You know how, like, older games, people call a masterpiece that you think is terrible because you didn't play it, but you can, like, okay, well, this made sense, but the rest of it is kind of crap, or something like that. Or like how people will look at older games and, like, they say they're great because they're hard. Listen, I agree, Castlevania's great and hard, but don't give me that shit with fucking, what was it, Ghouls and Goblins or whatever, where you have to beat the game twice. No, kiss my ass, that was bullshit. You're famous because you're hard, you're not famous because you're a good game. You know, that's another thing that gets me. Like, it can be good for the challenge, but if that's the only thing it's got, and it's not really that... But of course, I'm a much more casual gamer, so I myself, I'm not really intrigued by the prospect of taking on the challenge as it is wanting to complete the game and see the whole story. Damn, I'm thirsty. So I think that's pretty much all I got as far as talking about our nostalgia glasses. I need to venture out into more games, but I need to upgrade my computer because there's some things I want to do, like playing. I bought some Sonic games Sonic Adventure. Yeah, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Or Sonic Adventure DX and Sonic Adventure 2. I've played DX a little bit, Sonic Adventure, but I haven't played Sonic Adventure 2, but I definitely haven't beaten them. And what I would really love to do is to be able to play them on stream. Otherwise, I'm going to have to play them episodically, which is not necessarily bad. It'd probably be, well, hell, it might be easier. But I want the ability to play them on stream, you know? If I was going to review them, and I might one day, then I'll do it episodically. But I also want to be able to play these games just for stream if I just want to. That'd be great. It'd be fan-fucking-tastic, right? Right. Well, currently I can't do that. So, I don't get to increase my amount of knowledge or my amount of influence on games that are like that, because that's another one people tell me those games are just wonderful. Games that aren't nearly as broken as some of the newer ones in regards to that time period, and that they were really good in the way they felt, and I never got to feel that. Now, even though I can see faults right off the bat, that doesn't mean that it's a bad game, doesn't mean that, but I really want to see through some other people's nostalgia glasses sometimes, while still being able to regard my own, I guess. Okay. So, you guys like Netflix? I like me some Netflix. Well, what about that Netflix, huh? Netflix shows, Netflix movies. I've been watching Netflix shows for a bit now, and I really love some of these shows in particular. So, we've got things like BoJack Horseman. We've got things like Aggressico. Just recently, I was watching Human Resources, the spin-off from Big Mouth or whatever. And there's a handful of things like that. And I didn't realize this till about a week ago, that these shows are kind of like kids shows that teach you, except these are oriented towards adults. Like, it's like these things didn't take when we were kids. You might understand it now that you're a pissed off adult or something like that. Or whatever your situation is. You know how, like, a lot of us, or a lot of people, a lot of parents, they get older, they get drained. Now they're this just automaton just trying to preserve themselves long enough to be able to do the tasks they need to do to keep going. Well, these shows have been really interesting in that. So, of course, a lot of it is, it's a bunch of dirty, smutty type stuff. Oriented. There we go, it's a little better. So a lot of these are very, what'd you say? So, they're graphic, they're dirty, there's nudity, there's cussing, there's fart jokes, there's toilet humor. And I enjoy it. Fuck, it's funny. Shut up. But if you were to take all that out, and then then you wanted to, say, throw in, take all that out, and then you just leave the parts that are serious. You take the jokes out, you take all the sexual shit out, you take all the smutty stuff out, and all you leave is the serious stuff, or the lessons that are actually being learned. Those parts actually hit like crazy. Now, maybe it's because I'm still impressionable as a fairly young adult, I guess, at 28 years old. But it's like, wow, some of these things didn't take when I was younger. Now some of those things are actually taking. and it makes me happy. And some of these shows are like, oh, this is nothing but toilet humor, and some people get irate about it, and I'm like, screw you. BoJack Horseman is hilarious, dark, and also my feels. Ouch. But it kind of like help people. It kind of helps like understand how things might need to be dealt with, you know. At least that's how I see it. You know, just imagine yourself. At first you're like watching this cartoon. It's kind of like Family Guy, where it's trying to be funny and everything, except there's a lesson to be learned. There's actually a lesson to be learned as an adult. Now, I remember my parents, or well, not necessarily my parents, but a lot of people's parents, or stories of their parents, were like, they already got everything figured out. Or they certainly act like they do, rather. And we're sitting here like, no, you don't have shit figured out. And now that having grown up, we've got a house, got married, Caltuna's with me, we've got a roommate, we've got friends that we go to houses, I got a job. I'm very lucky where I'm at, that I can do my job, I can do this, I have time to do this. You know, I'm not worried necessarily about things going out just now, like screwing up right just now. I have a buffer. It's really nice. But you get these cartoons, and they act like there's some people that are mostly older people, act like they're really high and mighty about this shit, and you're sitting here like, dude, chill out. You haven't even seen the damn thing. You only saw a few seconds of it, and of course they highlight the parts that are going to make you laugh, which often have nothing to do with what's actually going on. So you don't get to see the damn lesson that it tries to teach you, because like BoJack Horseman, for one thing, it made me really depressed, but not the same way when I had been depressed in the past. It had more to do with like looking back on life and actually trying to understand the things I'm feeling. Big Mouth was just interesting in that it was a lot more adult and a lot more about just understanding people rather than what the show seemed to be about. Like understanding how people and dealing with those feelings. And again, like I said, it's like some of these things didn't take initially when we were growing up. Now I've watched Human Resources, and it's just funny because now it's the same. It's basically the same thing as Big Mouth, except now you're dealing with actual adults, and it's not. And the adults themselves aren't really the main characters, but you're dealing with situations, and it has a ton to do with the actual situation that's at hand. That's really important. And to feel like you actually can understand something. And I hate these people that are like, oh, it's a cartoon. Why is a grown-ass man watching a cartoon? Screw you, Susan. I can watch whatever I want. Of course, because I'm a grown-ass man, I should be able to watch whatever the hell I want. As long as I get all the things done that I need to do, all my obligations are completed. I've gone to work, I've paid the bills, I've cleaned the countertop or whatever. Should be able to do whatever I want. And these shows are like, yeah, you can. You can do that. Also, you know those feelings you have all the time? Yeah, here's some situations where those have happened, and you know, just feel it out, you know? Just feel it out. Because you gotta be careful watching things like BoJack Horseman. Aggretsuko had some interesting concepts that I don't think that one's as geared the same way in the sense of like learning shit, but it does put you through these different situations where there's a lot of relatability. You know, We all feel things, right? We all have these feelings that we don't understand still to this day. We might be 70, 80, 90, 100 years old and still don't quite understand the feelings that we're feeling at a time. So it's really interesting to be able to have shows like this, despite being comedies that are meant to be the gross, smutty, toilet humor type comedy, yet they can actually help you get a perspective on shit. That's what's amazing to me about these shows. Getting that perspective, being able to see that. And kudos to Netflix, because these are Netflix only shows. It surprised me. I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm just getting a crazy comedy, cartoon, whatever. No, there's so much on there that there's actually substance. Actually has substance. That's what's interesting. You know, I love it. I love every bit of it. So, I gotta appreciate those. I don't really have too much else to say about it. I wanted to really touch on that. Maybe throw in some of the shows that are like that for you that you really liked. You know, Tuca and Birdie was actually pretty interesting in that regard. If it's for family, has a few things, not as much. It's mostly like look at how how the 50s were, 50s, 60s were. Pretty shit, huh? Or, you know, this is how they were. Look at all the shit that they went through in that regard. I like watching the show. There's a lot of shit in it that I don't like, though. But it does pull out some of the concepts that... It does do some of those concepts, you know? So those heavy concepts that you don't really know how to process yet, despite being an adult, it still runs through that. But I think that's about all for the S&G podcast. I just want to talk about stuff for shits and giggles. Funny how that works. So I'm probably going to cut this stream, and then I'll probably continue streaming a little bit with probably some Minecraft. Yeah, I know, typical of me. But it's nice. I don't want to stop streaming necessarily. But I'll create another stream and probably be on about half an hour. So, I think that's about all I have to say. I had to figure out what I wanted to talk about. I didn't have anything to talk about, and I didn't have a guest. So, learning to figure out these things myself is important, so, yeah. So I guess I'll go ahead and end it. So thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to be my buddy. If you have any other topics in regards to the S&G podcast, or any other streams that I do, or games that I should play on my channel when I get the ability to, or other things like creepypasta, feel free to throw them in the comments below. I try and read all the comments I can. If you can, share this out. No pressure. I'm gonna share the shit out of it. There are links below if you want to drop into my Discord. There should be links below. There are links below, right? Let me check my... Why is it? Okay. Yeah, okay, all the links are there. So... feel free to check out the links below. I really want to see topics that you'd want to hear my thoughts on. Mostly in regards to video games. I guess really I could cover anything overall. But video games, movies, media, is probably what I want to stick to. And I really appreciate you for all coming out. Have a great day, and always remember, you have potential. See you in the next stream. Probably here in about half an hour. Bye!